Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm going to be offering a new course this spring, and it's a new kind of course that I think people may not be very familiar with, and I thought I would just explain it a little bit to give you an idea of what the course entails. The course is called Legal Verses, and the idea is to go through those verses of the Qur'an that deal with practical matters. Right, so you're familiar that in the Qur'an there are about 500. Some of our scholars count up to 2,000 verses, but around 500 verses are typically accepted as what we call legal verses, āyāt al-aḥkām. So these are the verses that form the backbone of our Sharia, right, the Islamic legal system. Of course, ahadith play a huge role in helping us to understand what those ayat say, but the ayat are really the backbone. And they are also some of the more challenging verses of the Qur'an. If you think through your own readings, the verses on inheritance, for instance, in Surah An-Nisa, the verses on marriage and divorce, and even on the ibadat, on fasting, on zakah, on khums, on jihad, on enjoining good, forbidding evil. There's so many verses in the Qur'an that deal with these practical matters. And the way the Qur'an expresses these commandments is very different from how the fatwa, the legal decision, the legal opinion of our jurist comes across. Right? By nature, law is dry. Not Islamic law only, all law is dry. It's telling us what are the red lines, what must you do, what must you not do, and it comes across as very formulaic, very, very dry. The Qur'an, or the ahadith, on the other hand, which are the source of those fatwas, they are very fresh and very alive. The way Allah talks about prayer, the way He talks about fasting, and all of these different practical aspects of Islam is very different. And it's wonderful to experience the duties that we have, not only through the fatwa of our marja, which is important and necessary for us to make sure that we're acting correctly, but also to see what is the voice and the encouragement and the similes and metaphors and all of this that Allah brings to the table when He tells us to do something or tells us not to do something, right? And so we're going to go through these verses. Just take, for an example, these verses in Surah An-Nisa on inheritance. That's always a very challenging aspect of Islamic law. People, I think, are often a little bit intimidated by all these fractions and different shares that different people get based on their existing relations or non-existing relations, and it's very complicated. The verses in Surah An-Nisa, there are about 4 to 6 verses that mention all of the different formulas, and if you have that, then you have the backbone of our inheritance and all the shares, right? And so we're going to delve into these one by one. Primarily, I'm going to use a book called Zubdatul Bayan. This is by al-Muqaddas al-Ardabili. This is one of our important books on āyāt al-aḥkām, but we have others as well. Kanzul Irfan of al-Fadl al-Miqdad. There's Masalik al-Afham and Fiqh al-Qur'an of al-Rawandi. So these are some of the sources I'll be drawing from. But the idea is to go through these verses in a way that mirrors our discussions on fiqh. So if you're familiar with a legal manual, the Risala, the Islamic Laws Manual, it goes in a particular order, which has kind of we've inherited from early scholars. So typically it starts with tahara, laws of purity and impurity. It goes to the different ibadat, starting with praying, and then fasting, and zakah, and khums, and hajj, and so forth. And then it goes into the mu'amalat, buying and selling, and marriage and divorce and inheritance, all these different things. So we'll go in that same order. Of course, this is a long-term project. It's not going to be, we're not going to be able to complete all of these verses in one semester, so it will go for at least, I would estimate 3 or 4 semesters. But I think it'll be a really fulfilling journey. It's one that I have been wanting to do for a long time, and really these courses help me to commit myself, and then it ties me in. So I'm forcing myself basically to do the research and to explore a particular part of Islam that I've been wanting to explore And then I'm able to share those learnings with the students, and inshallah we are able to learn and grow together. So I look forward to having many of you join this class, and inshallah we'll learn about a new aspect of the Qur'an that maybe we haven't paid as much attention to in the past, and become inshallah closer to Allah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.